Now, strategic program review is ongoing, and it is going to require some, again, as we would categorize, difficult choices. I want to tell you tonight that we're resolved in making these choices. We are going to ensure that we jump on the path as a province to better days, to prosperity, to progress, and to progressiveness. So it's not easy. There's no doubt about it. Il n'y a aucun doute que le statu quo aurait été plus facile. Il n'y a aucun doute que le statu quo serait plus facile pour les élus, pour le gouvernement aussi. But the status quo is not the right option. It's not the right thing to do for our province. Now, although I say that strategic program review is going ahead, we have the resolve to make the decisions that are going to help our province get on the right track, I will admit to you tonight that we've learned some lessons from the first budget. We have, and I'd like to share them with you tonight. Lesson number one. There's no doubt that if we want New Brunswickers to make choices and to help us make choices that reflect our hopes, well, we can't allow them to have too much fear. And one of the things that we probably did, now that we go in retrospect, is we allowed some policy goals that we had to go too long with the policy details. So we'll learn from that. But I want to tell you why that happened. I believe, and we believe, that a good change management strategy is to talk to the people that you're working with, so in our case, all New Brunswickers, and say, here's what we'd like to accomplish. Here's where we need to get to on this particular subject or policy. Here are a few of the principles that we want to follow. Here are sort of the parameters of our discussion. Now, how do you think we should get there? I actually believe that would be a good change management strategy because everybody does get to contribute to how we get there. Mais, peut-être dans le monde de la politique, peut-être en raison du fait que notre équipe est 750 000 personnes, ça n'a pas été fait de la meilleure façon. Alors, lorsqu'il y avait un manque de détails sur des politiques quelconques, à cause de notre système, d'autres personnes ont rempli ce vide-là. Et je dirais que parfois, ils remplissaient le vide avec des choses qui n'étaient pas nécessairement la vérité. So we are going to learn from that. And I also want to say here tonight, and I'll tell all New Brunswickers this, and I've made it clear from the beginning, but I want to repeat it, because I know that the unknown can be a catalyst for fear. Strategic program review will be done soon. I know a lot of people feel uneasy. People are wondering what's going to happen, what happens to their jobs, what happens to their industries, what happens to their families, their communities. We get it. It's not fun. We understand. And that will be certainly one of the lessons that we learn from the first budget. So I'm here to confirm, yet again, that strategic program review, when it started, right after being sworn in, has a window of 1.5 to 2 years to be finalized. We're already about 8-9 months into our mandate, so it will be done soon. And I don't want people to feel like there's going to be too much of an unknown for too long. The second lesson, we're going to have to do a better job of communicating. Nous ne pouvons pas dépendre sur les médias, nous ne pouvons pas dépendre sur les intervenants à communiquer nos politiques. Alors, il faut trouver des façons dans un ère où l'information circule assez rapidement, en raison des technologies et des médias sociaux, il faut trouver des façons innovatrices pour communiquer avec les gens du Nouveau-Brunswick. We are going to have to find innovative ways. And we're not saying this, many of you would want me to say it in a political sense, meaning that we're going to communicate to make sure that we get buy-in, but this is for our province as well. If we're going to make the choices that we need to make that will reflect our hopes and not fears, we do have to do a better job in communicating and make sure we get to the people that need to understand the policies that we're putting forward. So we will learn from that. Une troisième leçon aussi. We have to acknowledge that there is some emotion that comes into this. And it's normal, completely normal. We're making tough choices. And sometimes we're asking some people to maybe part with something that they had before. Not only could that maybe be tougher for them, but it could also be something that they have an emotional attachment to. And I want to tell a quick story because I'm not saying this in any way other than to say that that would be the case for all of us. We all, it's human nature, and we would all be in that scenario. So I do want to tell a quick story. So many of you know, my mother's family is the Scholten family. They came here in 1952 from Holland. My Oma and Opa came here with 17 kids. That produced 72 cousins. Fantastic for leadership races, by the way. There's a few of my leadership supporters there. L'histoire de mon père, la famille de mon père, c'est un peu différent. My father's family, it's a bit different. In fact, the Gallants have lived on the same piece of land in Shediac Bridge for over 100 years. So really two distinct stories. Two very Canadian, very New Brunswick stories, but two distinct stories. Alors, mon père, mon grand-père, ma grand-mère, mes mères et pépères, mes tantes, mes oncles, ils ont tous vécu à Shediac Bridge sur le même lot de terre. In case you're wondering, by the way, where I live in Shediac Bridge, I'll tell you a quick story, a little sidebar here. There's a place called Shoreline Fuels, for those of you who have ever gone. Right behind Shoreline Fuels, there's a big field, a big grass field. It's a guy that lands there maybe once or twice with his private airplane. Very small airplane, but lands there but once or twice. So if you actually look on Google, my house is just the other side of this field. So if you look on Google, it actually says right there, the Shediac Bridge Airport. I'm Terminal 2, by the way. That's where I'm going to go see Minister Melanson with the Strategic Infrastructure Initiative to invest in the Shediac Bridge Airport. So they've lived on the same piece of land. My grandfather, Pépère, I couldn't tell you what year, but he built the home there on this piece of land. I assume, I should probably have checked this, but my father was born there. My aunts and my uncles grew up there. When I was really young, my family, my mother and father and my brother and sister, we lived in Shediac Bridge when I was born, so that's where I was living when I was born. I grew up there. We then moved around the province. My parents got different jobs in different regions, from Beresford to Nigadoo. On reste à droite à côté du Nigadoo, pour ceux qui connaissent. We then went to Bouctouche, Moncton, and then back to Shediac Bridge. And then my brother had kids, and they lived in that house in Shediac Bridge. So we literally had 4 generations in my family live in this house. So my grandparents, my parents, myself and my siblings, my nephew and nieces. So one day, I won't tell you the whole background, but I'm on the deed now with my parents. And one day we had a decision to make, myself and my parents. We could either take this old home that my pépère built back in the day, which had the foundation rotting, where the basement was flooded. Le système d'égout était pourri. And we found ourselves, and pretty hard for me, with an old house where the roof was really small and the doorway was about 6 feet tall. So you can imagine how fun that was. And we had the choice of whether we invest and try to renovate the home and upkeep it, or if we tear it down and build anew. So you can see where I'm going with this. Logically, the right answer was very clear. We had to tear it down and build anew. Mais vous pouvez comprendre qu'avec l'émotion, beaucoup d'émotions pour plusieurs personnes, mes cousins qui allaient là visiter mes mères et pépères, mes oncles, mes tantes, ma famille. Alors c'était une décision très difficile en raison de l'émotion qui était attachée à la maison. We ended up deciding, I think, making the right choice, not based on fear, not based on the fear of losing the memories that we had in this home, in this very quaint home, the tough times, the good times, the times that we pulled together through some struggles and challenges. We decided to tear it down and build anew. And now we have even more amazing memories coming from our new home. My brother, my sister, my parents, other family members, extended family members, nephew, nieces, we gather there, certainly during the summer months and many other months. And we're building a new set of memories for our family. So now that I know what I know, the decision was the right one, and it should have actually been an easy decision. But at the time, it wasn't. So I've been thinking about that because there's a little bit of that happening right now. Les décisions que nous avons besoin de prendre ne sont pas faciles. Parfois, il y a de l'émotion attachée à ces décisions. Et on ne peut pas voir les bénéfices qui peuvent venir de ces décisions en ce moment. We cannot see the benefits of some of the hard choices that we have to make right now, so we end up getting caught in a cycle where we make decisions based on fear. Choices based on fear, not choices based on the hope that we could have on the other side of the difficult choices. All that to say, another lesson learned from the first budget is this. We need to do a better job, and when I say we, I mean your government, needs to do a better job of linking our tough choices to hope, linking our difficult decisions to better days. And I want to do that for you right now for the first budget. So, we made some difficult choices. We made choices in which found our expenses or revenues go up by $150 million. Well, one of the benefits of that is today Standard & Poor's gave us the exact same rating that we had before, despite the fact that there are difficulties across the country, and gave us an A+ and gave us a stable outlook.